Well, ain't that just how it goes? All right, well, hopefully you can see me. Hello everybody, I figured I'd take you on a tour of the actual yard and gardens this week for the Sunday update of what's going on. It is after all April, and we can actually see a few individual bits of the garden out there. So I finally get to use that whole distance from the camera and mic thing. It should be fun. But at the same time, most of it's going to be just me pointing around at the snow where 3 or 4 days ago you could see things, but it snowed again because April Fools, and now it's gone. But let's take a look anyway. So just a couple of days ago, I was thinking to myself how nice it was going to be that we're going to be able to have the campfires going soon. This was all melted away and cleared. Everything's nice and dry because I put a tarp over it this year. It was fantastic. Anyway, heading out to the garden. We've got the fish pond. Not too terribly surprised that you can see it being black and all that. When the sun shines, it does shine down pretty good. This was pretty much empty, but a little bit of snow, the wind blows, it fills up. Fills up pretty fast, really. The pepper jungle leftovers here, not too bad. Gonna trim them all down to the ground, I think, and then just plant kind of around the roots that are in there. I have heard that is good for microbacteria. We've got the leftovers from the corn patch here. This is just a little bit brutal. Again, I'm going to trim most of this down to the ground, probably toss it into the chickens, let them have their wicked way with it. You used to be able to see the carrot patch here. Not today. But this is going to be fun with the companion gardening this year and the whole tomatoes. Oh, excellent, we can see it. I was delighted to see that we have a strawberry that has lived, seems to be doing just fine. And up over where I put the tag there, you can just sort of see it in the snow. There was another one from the variety we bought last year, which is good because to the best of my knowledge, I have killed all the rest. And then, yeah, everything's buried back here. The bunker garden, as always, nicely revealed. It does really well in the spring because it's elevated and it's got those long grasses on it that kind of poke out from the snow. So they catch the sun and they catch the heat and they melt it off. Toying with the idea of maybe making that a strawberry bin, perhaps finding some companion plants that would go with that, and then just kind of maximizing my opportunity there, because the strawberries come up first, don't they? And yeah, if the bunker comes out first and the strawberries come up first, that just seems like kind of a natural way to go. Otherwise, while we're out here, we can kind of take a look at the cherry tree here, and we can see, little buds from where the leaves are going to pop out this year. So that's nice. This seems to have done well, survived yet another winter. I think it might actually make it. Curious to see how that pear is doing though. So looking at the pear here, does look like we've got some signs of success. It's going to be its first spring, so I'm really excited to see how it does. And this whole 3 varieties thing, in theory, means that it should be able to pollinate itself, because most pears do need another type to get pollinated, apparently. So, yeah, so that's all well and good. So if you're still with us at this point, I guess we'll go check on how the aphid farm is doing upstairs with the pepper starts. All right. So upstairs and checking on the aphid farm. Looks fairly aphid free in the aerogarden today, but that's for some pretty obvious reasons. I did transplant as many of these as I thought I could save. I've cleaned it up. In theory, there should be nowhere for aphids to hide in there. Probably going to spray it down with like rubbing alcohol from the store and hopefully try and kill some more that way. We'll see. Just better safe than sorry, but currently not in operation. I'll show you the transplants that came out of there though, which would be these guys down here. The one on the right there is not looking terribly happy, and it's looking like it's time to give them a quick rinsing off to get rid of some aphids here. But for the most part, the ones that got transplanted seem to be doing okay. Tragically, we lost some of the previous transplants. They just got ravaged so bad there was just no saving them. Our little Venus flytrap's doing all right. Looks like it needs a bit more water, but otherwise doing all right. Then let's see, we've got the aloe with its little oreganos in the bottom there, surviving. Can't wait to get these larger peppers out and into some natural predators. They do seem to be alive for the most part, although I think we lost the orange habanero this week, tragically. These things do happen though. I don't have the best of luck with orange habaneros out here in Manitoba. And then we've got this giant bad brains here that's just kind of barely hanging on. Interestingly enough, the oregano is doing fantastic in the middle of that, where that Sansi light seems to be shining down the most. But all the leaves from the pepper plant in that area seem to be pretty much dosed. So yeah, gonna be time to cut this back. Hopefully we can get a new flush of growth. I'll put some decent fertilizer in there. Maybe we can keep it going. It's only got 2 more months to go. You've made it this far, little pepper plant. You can do it. You can do it. And then even the spider plant back there has got aphids falling onto it. That's just terrible. Not quite as easy to get these larger planters under the faucet to wash them off though. So what do you do? Going to be a much smaller pepper garden this year, I think. Such is life. Every year is different in the garden. That's half the fun, really. Okay, so let's go check the aquaponics and see how the fishies are doing. Pretty much wraps things up for today. So that brings us down here to the aquaponic garden, where I have made a couple of minor changes over this past week, but nothing too serious. Looking at the parsley, it seems to be doing just fine. We've had a few nice harvests off that over this winter, so that is certainly delightful when it's all snowy outside and you're just trying to have a garden. The sage seems to be doing so well underneath this Sansi, what is this, 70 watt, I think? 70 watt light. I mean, sure, it's still reaching for it, but we have got considerably larger leaves than I was getting under the fluorescent light. So that is, to me anyway, that is somewhat impressive. Mint looks a little different behind it there because I kind of flopped it over. We'll walk around the other side and you can kind of see it dangling there. And then here, I found some radish seeds kicking around in the basement. Wasn't sure if they were even still any good. So I figured I would shove them down into the wet layer of the clay. Who knew if they'd sprout? Apparently, they did. And while I'm not expecting to get huge radish bulbs out of this, although that would be super cool, radish tops are pretty tasty in and of themselves. And radishes, when they go to seed, they throw those really cool little pods, and those are actually quite tasty too. Sometimes more worth it than the actual radish, because you can get a lot more pods than you get radish bulbs. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to do for us in the aquaponic garden as we kind of go towards spring and finish off our last little bit here. You can tell I have yet to sacrifice the basil here. This is probably going to end up going to the girls, the chickens that is, I should say, sometime soon. Hasn't happened yet. And then down here we've got the thyme. This has been struggling so hard, but still is growing. So I'm so hesitant to just pull it out of there. And I'm going to say foolishly hoping that it will eventually just kind of settle in and grow. You know, if it could grow and be as productive as the mint, for example, that would be wonderful. So yeah, let's check around the other side so you can see what I'm talking about with how I flopped it over there. So now it's pulling kind of a Rapunzel, let down your hair. Looks really nice though, covering up the side of the aquaponic bed there. I still say that this bed is about half as deep as it really should be, but it does work fairly well with some of these herbs, so I'm letting it, right? Still kind of hoping this little sage here is going to put forward some roots on its own, and eventually I can cut it free to be its own plant. That would be very nice. We do have one of those sage cuttings that went through the aerogarden experience in there. You can just barely see it. It's such a twig of a thing, but it's kind of hidden from the light by this larger sage. So yes, what do? Found a couple of my garden toys, so now we have a crashed airplane in the sage. I just thought that was fun. Mint does look really nice though. Unfortunately, I still haven't figured out a better light for viewing the goldfish, but as far as I know, we still have 19 of our original 21 feeder fish in there. I've yet to go to Brandon and pick up more, but this just really doesn't seem like the time, you know? It's not the time. Gonna be fun to see how those radishes do. I tell you what, that lemon tree could use some love. I'm sure it's looking forward to getting back outside. That coffee tree will probably be headed back outside too. I'm not quite sure because that doesn't drain. It overflows and floods and such, and that's not really good for plants. So I don't know. I'm kind of trying to switch everything in those planters like the red one there. Those are going to be permanent indoor plants, and anything that's indoor, outdoor, I want it to at least have like a side drain like that or something that I can kind of contain. Although these planters, not my favorite these days either, so not sure I'm going to go with that style. Here we have the dead strawberries, but Shox has asked me to hold off on disposing of those. She's hoping that they're just dormant and we can take them outside and they'll perk right back up, which would be exceptionally cool. So I'm hopeful that she's right with that, because that would be great. Spinning around a little bit, we've got the videographer in the way, whatever you call the guy on YouTube with the camera. Anyway, here's that indoor-outdoor spider plant. It's got some nice plantlets off the side there. I do think it's time to come around with some solo cups and some soil and maybe trim those free before it heads back out for the summer. Got one little tiny pine tree that's sort of surviving down there. I don't know how it's doing that. And then we have the mouse melon. Oh, this incredible mouse melon. It has now figured out where its better light source is. We can see the tendrils are kind of creeping towards that little 17-watt household LED. This plant is fascinating, and I absolutely love those little tiny cucamelon, itty bitty tiny cucumber fruits. You just pop them in, crunch them whole. It's very satisfying. And apparently they're quite good for you. Something about silica and good for your knees and elbows and those of us with arthritis, apparently, but I ain't no doctor, so that's just, you know, word on the street. Down there we've got the bog mint, doing just fine, but I'm sure it will be quite happy to go out this summer too. Look at all those tendrils though. That's going to cover up so much of that black pond. And once we get the board over it again, we'll drape some of these tendrils over that board. Have a nice shady area for the fish in there this year. Oh, that's going to be nice. Oh. So yeah, there are losses in the world of the peppers, but certain other parts of the garden are kind of exciting for this year. Right on. And on that note, I guess that's where I'm going to wrap it up this week. So if you're still with me at this point, and I can only assume you are if you're hearing this, thank you so much for sticking around. You know, the adventure has been fascinating. I have learned so much as I'm trying to, well, learn how to garden and be a little bit more self-sufficient and turn pennies into food and all that stuff that I do on this channel, you know. And if you are interested in how that potential reporter thing went, I did actually have a conversation with a gentleman who claimed to be from the Brandon Sun. So yeah, there may actually be something to that. That'd be kind of cool. I asked him to let me know if it gets published, when it is, and I'll try and get a copy of that paper and share it with you guys. Not so much for vanity, so much as, well, I can't believe this actually happened. Weird stuff happens. You gotta be open to what the universe is offering you. I mean, right now everything is being shut down, and here is this strange opportunity for somebody who wants to kind of share my channel with people. So cool, that would help meet some goals right now, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be open to opportunities. All right, everybody, I hope this video has found you healthy and safe and well-stocked for the future. Like I've been saying, don't be a part of the panic. Don't be a part of the problem. Yeah, it's all good. Just take care of yourself. Take care of what the universe puts in front of you. Sit home, relax, get to know those people in your house. They're called your family, and some of them are quite entertaining. If you are truly stuck for something to do, I recommend finding something called a pack of cards and playing something they call card games. And failing that, there used to be something called board games. So yeah, there are some options for you. Otherwise, you know, go through the channel, watch stuff. I got videos since 2012, so I should be able to keep you entertained for a while with a host of assorted failures. Some of them might even be educational. Yeah, right on. Anyway, I will see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. You know the line, blah, blah, blah. See you next time.